Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a little discussion video. I'm going to be talking about IndyCar and why I think IndyCar is kind of lacking behind every other sport in the world. So I was just thinking about other sports like F1 for example. Why is F1 popular? F1 is popular because it's the pinnacle of, motorsports. It's the best open world motorsports. It has the most money involved. It has every single major company in the world wants to be involved. Mercedes, Honda, Renault, Ford is joining F1, Audi is joining F1. Porsche was looking to join F1, but unfortunately they couldn't find anything that would fit their criteria. And then besides, car manufacturers in F1, you have huge companies like Red Bull. They're all in it. I think Red Bull, it would be cool to see Red Bull in IndyCar, but obviously they don't see an appeal to join IndyCar. Maybe they don't see enough revenue in it, so they don't want to join it. What makes complete sense from a business standpoint? If there isn't any money, then why would you join? You have other big sports like, the WEC. They're all known for endurance racing. The 24 Hours of Le Mans. They have all the other shorter races like the Sebring 1000. They have all the popular races, and they're known as, the pinnacle of endurance racing. And then you have people like NASCAR too. NASCAR is known as the stock car oval racing series. And then you kind of, in the middle of every single series in the world, you have IndyCar, which is kind of just like, it's kind of like everything. They have long races. They have the 500, what's a longer race. They have ovals, what appeals to NASCAR fans, I guess. They have street courses, what appeals to F1 fans. They have road courses, what appeals to F1 fans. And then the ovals don't necessarily directly appeal to F1 fans, what is kind of a shame, because ovals are probably some of the best races. They're interesting. And then the big problem with IndyCar too is the fact they don't have many manufacturers, and the more manufacturers you have in a sport, the more interesting the sport is. If IndyCar had 3 or 4 different, if you had Ford or even another person like Ferrari in it, that would bring a ton of value to IndyCar, but it's getting them people on board that would be hard. And I think if they could do that, that would bring a lot of value. And I think too, the problem with IndyCar is it doesn't really have a place. It hasn't separated itself, like I discussed. Like NASCAR has separated itself as the pinnacle of oval racing. F1 has separated itself as the pinnacle of motorsports just because of how much money it costs, like hundreds of millions of dollars. The WEC has separated itself as the endurance series. And then IndyCar is just kind of IndyCar. They race on ovals, they race on street courses, they race on road courses. They're trying to do everything. But there's a term if you try and appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. And I think that's what IndyCar is kind of struggling with right now, is because they're trying to appeal to everyone, but when you try and appeal to everyone, who's going to watch the sport? Because you have a lot of F1 fans that want to watch IndyCar, but then they don't really like oval racing, so they kind of get turned off. But I don't know what the solution is. But when you look at the other side of it, you look at IndyCar, why is IndyCar a great sport? I think I made a video about why IndyCar is a great sport. I'm going to leave a link to that video, so this will give you more context if you want to know why IndyCar is a really good sport, from my opinion. But I think they need to somehow separate themselves. Like, for example, IndyCar is working on a hybrid system that's going to bring them closer to F1. So then it's going to make them closer to F1, but I don't think a hybrid system's necessarily going to benefit them in the way they intend to. And then also, too, I've discussed this in some of my past videos, too. IndyCar is also pushing the wrong kind of stuff. Like, for example, this year they've now implemented 100% renewable fuels, which is great and all. That's great, but no one cares. It's like they spend so much research and develop, because whether they spent it, someone spent it. I think Shell actually developed it, and Shell's probably, someone's transferring money somewhere. Someone's paying someone to use this renewable fuel. Whoever it is, it would be better if we could use these resources to actually better the sport, because from a marketing standpoint, it's great. But from an actual people standpoint, regular people that watch IndyCar on the weekend could care less that they're using renewable fuels. I mean, of course, a lot of people want to save the planet, but at the same time, most people aren't really interested in saving the planet when they're watching IndyCar. They want to be like, oh, I want to watch good racing. I don't really care the cost. Like if if people were really concerned about saving the planet, no one would watch F1. F1 is the most, polluting motorsport in the whole entire world. They fly across 20 different countries. They haul 20 different cars. They haul all this equipment, tons and tons of cargo across seas, polluting the earth or whatever. So if everyone was concerned about the environment, F1 would be dead because everyone would stop watching F1. But no one is. Of course, everyone's concerned, but they're not concerned enough to stop watching it. So I think IndyCar needs to focus on stuff that betters the sport rather than betters their image, because their image doesn't necessarily matter. I think they need to start promoting, because what makes IndyCar great is they have a great racing product. They, if you watched a race in Texas, it was an awesome race. The St. Petersburg race was an awesome race compared to, if anyone keeps up with F1, the racing this year has kind of just been like, there's the green light. Oh, Max Verstappen wins. Oh, Sergio Perez wins. Oh, Ferrari crashed. Oh, it's basically the same stuff. Max Verstappen, it's race free, and more than likely Red Bull has already won the championship. Max has got his third title or whatever. So it's oh, well, whatever. I guess let's wait until next year, see what happens next year. And then it's always the same result. It always kind of ends the same. Where IndyCar is unpredictable. There's nothing is set in stone. Like this race, there was something, I don't remember the exact numbers, but there was something there was 20 or so changes for the lead. Even on the last 50 laps, it was it was Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Romain Grosjean, Scott Dixon. There was all these people, even some of the people further down the field were still in it. They were right there. It was so close throughout the whole race. It was an intense race. F1 could not provide that value. And then part of the reason why F1's seen so much success in the last few years is because if you follow F1, they have this series on Netflix called Drive to Survive, was basically like an F1 reality TV show where everything is dramatized and it's kind of fake and stuff, but it's also got a lot of more young people involved in F1, so it's done a lot for the sport. So obviously IndyCar is following suit. They're making a TV show called 100 Days to Indy. What's, great and all, but the problem I see with it is they're playing on some random American TV network, CW. What? I mean, that's great, but outside of America, no one's heard of this network. They need to get it on Netflix or one of these they need to get on a streaming platform that people watch. The reason the Drive to Survive was so popular is because it was on Netflix. If they just premiered Drive to Survive on Sky Sports, because, that's, the UK was... F1's from the UK, and that's kind of that primary, big channel over there is Sky Sports. If they put Drive to Survive on Sky Sports, no one would talk about it. No one outside the UK would talk about it. The only reason it was widely successful is because it got put on a platform that has a global audience. So I think IndyCar is expecting this TV show to kick off, but it's not going to kick off outside the United States. Everyone inside the United States is going to watch it, and that's it. So what does IndyCar need to improve? That's kind of what everyone's talking about. And I have a few things I'm going to say what I think IndyCar needs to improve. I think IndyCar, kind of ever since the 2000s days, IndyCar has slowly been removing oval from the calendars because, back in the day, ovals were scary, dangerous. So many people died. It was insane. But nowadays, ovals are extremely safe. People haven't died in ovals in years and years. So I think ovals are relatively safe now. And we've seen so many bad crashes on ovals, and basically the people have just got scratched, maybe bruised. That's basically it. That's the consent of their crash. So I think reintroducing a few more ovals into the mix would be fun. And then I think also introducing more tracks. And I've said this before, IndyCar needs more races. They have 17 races. They have there's not enough races. It doesn't really captivate people, but there isn't enough races. I think they also need to introduce new tracks too, because throughout the last few years, IndyCar has kind of gone stale. They've been racing at the same tracks. At least 70% of the tracks on the calendar have been on it forever. And of course, there's always going to be tracks like the Indy 500, Road America, Indy Road Course. It's always going to stay on the calendar. But I would like to just see maybe some changes every year. Maybe for example, a good track that a lot of people have been wanting back is Watkins Glen is an awesome track they could bring back, but I don't know why they don't bring it back. I don't know if it's to do with viewership, but I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool if they would add variety to the Canada. This has always been kind of thrown out. Like, why don't they like swap some stuff out? Like, you know, like every other year they go to Watkins Glen and they switch it out for, you know, instead of going to Long Beach, they go to Watkins Glen every other year. And it would be a cool feature to do, or just figure out new tracks to go to add more excitement, because that's part of F1 too, is that nowadays they're going to a lot more tracks. Like this year, the new track this year is Las Vegas, and they're building so much hype around it because it's the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix. Like, oh, this is the first time we're going to come here. We're going to see how the racing is, and chances are the racing is going to suck. It's a street course. It's Las Vegas. They care more about the promotional side of the whole event rather than the racing. But if IndyCar could do that kind of stuff where they could find an event, well, I guess this year technically they do have a new race in Detroit. But at the same time, I haven't really heard them talk much about it. It's kind of just like, oh, there's a Detroit race. Yep, we're going there soon. We'll tell you more information later. Wait, if you look at F1, they're really hyping up they've been hyping up for like a year. They made I remember like 6 months before the event was even thing, they did like a live stream where they basically had drivers driving around the circuit doing donuts and basically being like, oh, look how cool this circuit is. It's going to be nice. It's going to be cool. We're doing all this stuff. IndyCar doesn't do that, and I think they need to improve it. So tell me what you guys think. This is kind of a long video. I've now been recording for about 12 minutes, which is just insane. I don't know why I've even talked about it for the last 12 minutes. It's more been a discussion / rant video. But I wanted to see if you guys can comment down below what you think about it, if you agree with me and disagree with me. And tell me what you think IndyCar can change, because I think IndyCar needs change. I'm not a marketer or a professional person, so I don't know what to change. I can only give my perspective as a fan, but I'll see what you guys think and what you think IndyCar think, or completely disagree with me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe IndyCar is perfect and there's nothing they can possibly change. But I don't believe IndyCar is perfect. No, nothing is perfect. So tell me what you think. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and bye.